Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the council meeting. The date is January 17, 2023. The time is 7 p.m. Before we begin the regularly scheduled meeting, we do have two public hearings on two ordinances that were introduced at a previous council meeting. So we will have the public hearing on the ordinances before we begin the meeting. So, public hearing is going to be ordinance number 1093. It's an ordinance concerning amending City Code 25, which is boards, committees, and commissions. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre City Charter to amend City Code 25, boards, committees, and commissions. Article 1, Section 25, duty to report, duty to attend work sessions. Is there anyone in the audience this evening here wishes to speak on ordinance 1093? All right. Is there any council members that have comments on 1093? Okay, without any comments from citizens or council, I'll now declare public hearing on ordinance 1093 to be closed. The time is 7:03. We move on to public hearing on ordinance number 1094 concerning amending section 127-10 food truck requirements. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend section 127-10 food truck requirements of the City Code, Chapter 127, titled Peddling and Soliciting. Any citizen here this evening wishes to speak on ordinance 1094? Sir. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the public hearing. May you please have your name and address for the record?
Will Norrie, 719 Chesapeake Drive.
Welcome.
Thank you, and happy birthday.
Thank you.
So I'm a little concerned with the idea of this council promoting competition to allow food vendors in. We pay property taxes probably $25,000 a year. We probably pay $25,000 a year in water. I think food trucks are getting a fair, it's unfair for us, and we're at a disadvantage. If you would like to fill the spaces, empty retail spaces in town with food vendors, that would be wonderful. I don't think that what you're doing by putting food trucks in hot spots in the town is the right way to go. Please consider the brick and mortar businesses that pay property tax. Are you planning on charging a food vendor to operate? Anyone? Is there a fee?
Yes, there is a fee for that.
Okay. Do you know what that fee is?
Do you remember exactly what it is, Tim?
$50 every 90 days.
I'm sorry?
$50.
$50 every 90 days.
Okay. So, like I said, I think it's very unfair for a brick and mortars business in town to compete with someone that can, when they're willing to come in to the town to sell their goods, versus a retail space that has to be there every day to pay their property taxes, to pay their electric, to pay the maintenance. Bridget's very capable of getting people into the retail spaces. I think she ought to fill the spaces, not let the town bring food vendors in at a disadvantage. Will they use electric?
I think that's on a case-by-case basis. It's hard to say.
Who will pay for the electric for them? The town? Or will they run their generators?
Most are on generators. I don't know of a situation where the city would be paying for electric for any of these.
Is there a reason why the city should promote competition to the businesses that are paying property taxes, paying water and sewer. Not in my opinion. That's my point. I'm in opposition. I'm disappointed at the idea of bringing in food vendors to the town when you have brick and mortar businesses that are paying their way. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Norrie.
Do you have a question for me?
Actually, just if I could respond, we have had food vendor spots for several years now that go unused. And we struck from the previous legislation the ability to put food trucks in our downtown area.
Thank you.
And the only, exactly, right there at Congress and Washington. The reason why we're looking to allow this is because A, it's not on a residential portion of a street, and it's actually supporting one of our downtown brick and mortar businesses.
Okay, is this a brewery?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so another big disadvantage is to the establishments downtown. Breweries do not have to provide food, correct? By law?
I'm not sure what actually
Okay,
the law is
check.
on that, but
No.
I mean,
By law,
store doesn't either.
by law, the liquor board requires me to sell 50% of my sales, it should be food to alcohol ratio. They don't have that. We do. Okay? I love the breweries. I do. But I think trying to open things up so that you can support a brewery because they don't have the legislation that we have to go by makes it a big disadvantage. You know, everyone says stay open, be open. You guys bring business into town with your events. Thank you. But I think you really ought to consider the brick and mortar businesses. First Fridays, that's a tough one. I can't argue the food trucks on a First Friday because there's just not enough restaurants in town. But to do this and allow them to come when they want to sell their $1,000, $2,000 worth of food and get out and not have to provide bathrooms, electrics, or not have to deal with, you know, property taxes, water and sewer, okay, that's not the way I think things should go. I think you'll get yourselves caught up in I would be disappointed. I don't want to speak for anyone else, but maybe before you do anything, you should ask the other retailers. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else in the audience wish to speak on ordinance 1094? Sir.
Andrew Chabalowski, I'm the brewery that was referenced, Market Street Brewery.
Welcome.
I absolutely understand the concern of the brick and mortar businesses in town. We discussed this quite a bit. We reached out to a few of the restaurants in town to ask them what type of food could be provided initially before we went searching for food truck authorization or anything along those lines. We did note that there were locations in town that already permitted food trucks, and previously it had been much more expansive than that, it seemed like. The general reaction in town was that in places that didn't already provide delivery did not want to provide delivery. So we don't have a kitchen. We don't have the ability to put a kitchen in. We do pay property taxes. We pay a pro rata share of everything that we have at the building, 26.8%. We pay on our water. We pay on our electricity. We do have quite a few individuals that have come into town just to see us, just to see what we're doing. And they go out in town, and we promote them to go out into town and walk down to Washington Street, and they talk about how great of a little town it is. A lot of people have never been into town before. They talk about how they're going to bring their families back, and they're going to bring people back into town, and that's what we want. We want to promote everybody in town by doing what we're doing. Our disadvantage, speaking of our location, we're just far enough outside of downtown that there's a bit of a gap that kind of needs to be bridged, where we continually push people that way into town. And we understand that we lose revenue when we do that because they end up staying at the establishments in town, but we're trying to do that regardless. We think it's the whole like rising tides float all boats sort of thing is the idea. The number one request we've had is for food trucks, for something to eat while people are there. We make sure we keep menus of any place that wants to deliver in town on our counters. And we have a lot of individuals who've come into town and have just ordered delivery from local places in town. They just choose to do that. So as much as I understand there's good and bad that comes along with it, I think the net benefit here is food trucks are important. It's important that people feel that they have access in all areas of the town to food, and we're trying to provide as much as we can in the sense of supporting the brick and mortar that's already here. So we appreciate everything that everybody's done. Yes, ma'am.
Could you speak a little bit in regards to the original proposal for the site was to have food trucks available behind you?
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit to that, please?
So we were under the impression that that would be something that would be appropriate pursuant to the terms of our lease. Apparently, that was a decision by the landlord. We don't control that. If the landlord had permitted us to do that at a cost that we could afford, we would do that. The food trucks, we've explored a couple different options, and the reason we landed on we don't as long as it's within 100 yards, we don't care. You know, people are willing to walk that far, and some of the food trucks have been nice enough to just have somebody standing inside who will take an order. But in a perfect world, we would have liked to have it behind in the parking lot. But I understand there were space concerns and things like that too with parking. So, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so basically you're really a hybrid.
What's that?
You're a hybrid. You have a storefront, pay taxes, you pay water. all of
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Microphone.
expenses Of a brick and mortar.
Microphone.
So you pay all the expenses of a brick and mortar
Yes, ma'am.
facility.
But we have the disadvantage of not being able to have a kitchen.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. So basically, you're kind of a hybrid that's different than what's actually outlined here because it's a food truck. They're talking mostly about food trucks. They're not talking about brick and mortar, and they're not talking about a hybrid in terms of whether or not you can have a kitchen is, I guess it's relevant, but considering that you do share the same expenses
Yes, ma'am.
that a brick and mortar facility has to pay, then that's why I say you're kind of a hybrid. You're a little bit different than just the traditional food truck that sits out in front of a restaurant that doesn't really give anything to that restaurant.
Right.
And
And we are also paying, oh, I'm sorry.
You know, and takes maybe something away from the traditional brick and mortar restaurant because you could be almost considered a brick and mortar restaurant based on your lease and your expenses, and that you sell food, basically, that somebody else prepares in their kitchen.
Yes, ma'am. And we pay all the permitting fees that are requested for the trucks every 90 days. It gets expensive, it adds up, because there's a rotation that occurs in the trucks. We've been lucky, they've been somewhat consistent. We're not asking to have trucks just parked out there every single day of the week. It's really only, I think it's been Friday and Saturday. It's only worth it to them to be there during those days generally. Although every once in a while, I think on a Thursday, they're planning on having a truck in there. But we pay all those fees. So if we have 25 trucks over a year that are interested, we have to make sure the permits are in order. So we pay every 90, eventually it's going to be us paying $50 every 90 days for every single truck we anticipate potentially coming through, even if that truck only comes once, because the day of, we can't just go in and grab a permit. I mean, everybody's been really great with the permitting side, and the processing times have been really great. There haven't been delays, but we're footing that extra expense, which does add up, especially in the first couple of years. It's a lot of money, but.
Councilman Robertson.
Thank you. You know, I think it's worth revisiting what the council president had mentioned, and that's the location of this exception, or I guess addition, to our food truck ordinance is one that it's pretty well outside of where the downtown restaurants are. You have about a mile of distance from where you guys are to where St. John's meets Union. And many of our downtown restaurants currently have the ability to go off-site with their food offerings. I would suggest it would be good to maybe explore that option as an additional revenue source for those restaurants.
And I agree. I believe my wife's here, she can correct me, we've approached every single restaurant with a food truck that I'm aware of. The responses that and I understand they're kind of busy. We've even spoken to the gentleman who previously ran Lorpin. He's a very nice guy. He's just so busy with his catering, I'm guessing that, you know, it wasn't an option. We explored that first, and we also, like I said, we explored the option of trying to offer certain locations that didn't currently deliver the option to deliver, and we give them priority on that if they're, and we're still willing to have that conversation, try and prioritize people if that's something they want to do, you know.
Council President?
So, just hypothetically, you had said that as long as it's within 100 yards, you know, you're fine with it. We allow food trucks currently only a block away in Hutchins Park. Is that?
That's more, yeah, it's more than 100 yards from our front door. So I'm just going off the statistics that we received when we were doing kind of market research and what people are willing to do as far as how far they're willing to travel. I mean, there are places like at Hopkins where they're in a big field and you can see the food truck and they'll go, you know, it's 100 yards just to walk across. It seems that the people's interest in going to grab food at a food truck, once you're out the door, across a road, past a construction site, and then down to the right to Hutchins Park, you're outside of the realm of where they actually want to travel. So I don't know how much interest the food trucks should have in being that remotely located. Plus, it's closer to town, to the downtown area. So I feel like it would be less of a competitive issue the closer they are to us in the opposite direction. But thank you. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the consideration. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Does DoorDash come?
So Grubhub and DoorDash does come, but I don't. There's an increased price, I believe, on that. I'm not intimately familiar with their pricing structure.
I'm a mom of a college student. I'm well aware of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you all. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Just real quick, based on the map where it's supposed to be located on the 2 of Bourbon Street, has there been any
Microphone.
challenges?
Hello again. Based on the map from the 200 block of Bourbon Street North Side, has there been any challenges with parking, vehicles parking there when the food trucks are supposed to be there?
So not that we're aware of. The food trucks I don't think were ever supposed to be there. And if you mean, in the time frames that we're discussing potentially putting food trucks there, there are a handful of vehicles that park on the side of the building there, but it's never been crowded to the point where a food truck couldn't fit. There is designated parking on the south side. I believe it would be the south side of Bourbon there, some spaces adjacent to the marina. Those do get filled up. Those are utilized. We try and promote people to park out back. So we, you know, if they come in and they're parking out front, we say, you know, if you don't mind, pull around. And we have a little sign out front. But against the building, I've never seen it full, to the best of my knowledge.
So, so far, are you happy with the food trucks that have been able to attend your evening?
Yeah, they've been great. They've been wonderful. Everybody it's a nice atmosphere. They want to help. We want to help them. They understand that there's menus to other restaurants on the counter right there. So we do put their menus out, and most people order online with the QR code. But we always have any local restaurant menus that have consistently been willing to deliver available to. And a lot of people just opt for that because it's different food than what you're getting from the food trucks. So, okay, thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're still under public hearing for ordinance 1094. Anyone else? Yes, I was just going to ask if anybody else in the audience wishes to speak on ordinance 1094. So please, sir. Welcome, and may you please have your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Munir Steak. I live at 113 North Union Avenue.
Welcome.
All right, so for me, I've been coming to these meetings for a while, and what's important to me is I'm the customer, I'm the user, I'm the citizen. I understand it's important for local businesses to succeed, but it shouldn't be the cost of another business. When I go to a brewery, when I go to Hopkins, when I go to Battery Island, when I go to Market, it's because I want good beer. If I want food, I'm going to order food, whatever is available. If it's Coakley's, I'll get the harvest salad. If it's La Cucina, I'll get the pizza. But if they're not there for my business, whoever is there, I will buy their food. And frankly, I'm paying a high rate at Battery Island or wherever the food truck is and giving them a great tip because I want them to come back to Havre de Grace. But that is not your choice of who I get to pick when I'm at a venue. That's my choice. And we as people should not be limiting other businesses based on who wants to get into the food truck business. That's their call. This is evolution. If they want to keep up with the times, they need to have a food truck. I swear to God, if I'm at Market or Brewery, any one of these breweries, or at Hopkins, and if there's a Coakley's food truck, I would go to that truck first because they're a local business. But if that is not my option, then I'll go to whoever else there is. And I will be upset if I have no options. So I just want to make sure I'm clarifying, as a person that loves Havre de Grace, we're here to promote people. We're not here to pull them down or pull them back just because others can't find a way to succeed in this new marketplace. I hope, I'm not giving any offense to anyone, but it's just, if somebody's doing a better job than me, then I should pat him on the back and say, what can I learn from him? Not say, please kick him out of the game, because I'm not doing enough. I love Coakley's. I honestly do. I wish I try to go there every week. You know, same thing with La Cucina and the other businesses. But again, we all need to work hard. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're under public hearing for ordinance 1094. Any other citizen in the audience wish to speak? Any member of the council have comments on 1094? Okay, fair enough. Without any further public comments, I now close public hearing on ordinance 1094. The time is now 7:23. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to the City Council meeting of Mayor Havre de Grace and the City Council members. The time is now 7:24 p.m. I will call the roll. Council President Ringsacker.
Here.
Councilmember Schnegas.
Here.
Councilmember Boyer.
Here.
Councilmember Martin.
Here.
Councilmember Robertson. Here. Councilmember Zinner.
Here.
Okay, all council members are here this evening. Everybody please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could kindly ask everybody to remain standing for a few more moments, it gives me pleasure to invite Yvonne Austin.
Yes.
Welcome.
God bless you all this evening. I'm standing in proxy for Pastor Vincent Austin. As you said, I am Pastor Yvonne Austin. Let's go to the Lord in prayer and bow our heads. Dear wise and loving Heavenly Father, first we'd like to say thank you on behalf of all who has gathered here this evening to come before your throne of grace and in your presence. Thank you for the manifold blessings that you have given unto our city and that you have given to us daily. Lord, we thank you for the gift of life itself and loving us mercifully and bountifully and with all nature that you give from heaven. So Lord, we thank you for tonight, and we're asking for your ability to improve all that we do here for our city as useful servant leaders. Lord, as we get the honor and the privilege of bearing appropriate civil and governmental responsibilities. Your scripture and your word says that the citizens should obey the governing authorities. And so they are here tonight, oh God, to establish these authorities and promote peace, order, and justice. Therefore, I stand here to pray for our mayor, especially today on his birthday, and for the various gathered assembled city leaders that are here for the council. Lord, I ask that you would graciously grant them wisdom to navigate in these conflicting issues. And tonight, let them do it with an open heart and open mind. Lord, give them confidence and a sense of welfare to the citizens of this city. Lord, we also ask personally for their personal peace as they sacrifice time to step away from their families to do these duties and these tasks. Lord, I ask that you give them your joy and let them do it with a smile on their face. Lord, we thank you that this night's execution of all things will be done pleasing in your sight. We lift all these requests to you humbly in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for your beautiful words. Thank you for the birthday wishes, and please give our regards to Vincent.
Yes, and God bless you all. It's going to be a great night.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go to item 5, approval of the minutes. We have the city council meeting minutes from January 3rd, and we also have city council public work session meeting minutes from January 10th. Item A, city council meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Boyer. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City council meeting minutes of January 3rd, 2023 are approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Item B, city council public work session meeting minutes from January 10th, 2023. Motion to approve.
So move.
Second?
A motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Shenegis. Questions or comments on these minutes? Sir.
I'm awaiting abstaining, so I was not at this meeting.
Roger that. Councilmember Martin will be abstaining from voting. He was not at the meeting. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council Public Work Session meeting minutes of January 10, 2023 are approved 5-0 in the affirmative. We're going to go to item number 6 on this evening's agenda, which is comments from citizens. And this part of the agenda, if you wish to speak on an agenda item, now is the time to do so. But also, if you're here this evening to speak on any other matter of public business, we will welcome your comments as well. So I will open up the floor as any citizen in the audience wish to speak. Okay. I do have one form filled out, though. I forgot about this. Mr. Joe Lurch.
Mr. Mayor, happy birthday to you. I didn't realize it was your birthday.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to put that on hold, if I may.
Not a problem.
Save that for another council meeting.
Not a problem. Understand. Okay. Not a problem. But thank you. Thank you for the birthday wishes. See, I should have taken off tonight and let you run the meeting.
No, thank you.
That's the kind of friend I am. I'm like, I don't want to do it to Jimmy. I'm like, okay. Anyway, thank you, Mr. Lurch. Okay, without any comments on any other items, I will move on to, I'm sorry, any council members have any comments? Okay. Okay, we will move on to item 7, appointments, and we do have an appointment this evening. Is it Phil Powell, is that it?
I've heard of him.
Okay, all right, Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to reappoint Mr. Philip Powell to the Board of Appeals.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President and second by Councilman Robertson for the reappointment of Mr. Philip Powell to the Board of Appeals for City of Havre. Any questions or comments? Council President?
I've got to tell you, if you don't know Phil, you're losing out because he's one of the honestly, one of the greatest men. I'm not just saying that because he's here. He's one of the greatest men I've ever met, and he's somebody that, you know, that I truly look up to. We both named our sons Matthew, and he's always been a dear friend, and He's always offered wise counsel when I've needed it, and he's one of the best things to happen to Havre Grace, and he's definitely one of the best things to happen to the Board of Appeals, and I cannot recommend him more highly.
I second those words, Council President. Well said. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I too would appreciate the fact that Phil is willing to be reappointed to this Board of Appeals. I've known him for 30 years. When we built our condo in Perryville, he was the project manager, and everybody really loved Phil. He was responsive, and I think it was Arlene Coakley called you a guardian angel once because you're always there for us. And I think, you know, as time went on, he's been always here for the city. And then he came back to Owens Landing when I built my second condo, and we did have some fun, didn't we? So he put in every change I wanted, and it was significant changes. So we still talk about it today, and he has stories to tell. But I really appreciate the fact that he's willing to renew his commitment to the city and to the Board of Appeals. Thanks, Phil.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Councilmember Boyer.
Since we're all on the Mr. Phil bandwagon, I just want to point out that we are blessed to have a man who is of such high integrity, passion, and he gives so much to our town, especially the youth, where he has a youth group that meets every week at the coffee shop. He's a man that gives and doesn't ask for anything in return. So I think we're all extremely blessed to have him willing to serve on something that's so important to the Board of Appeals. A man of integrity is absolutely Mr. Phil to the very core. And I thank him very much for the time that he gives the citizens, because I know how much he loves our city. So I'm going to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Councilmember Shenanigans.
A loyal neighbor and a loyal member of our city. He has been welcoming from day one, and he has such a spirit for this town. It is great to see him so involved, and it's wonderful to have him wanting to be reappointed to our Board of Appeals. You are the perfect person to continue going forward on that board. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenanigans. Any other questions or comments? All right, excellent. Thank you. Okay, for the motion of the reappointment of Mr. Phil Powell to the Havre Grace Board of Appeals. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Mr. Powell's reappointment to the Board of Appeals carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Powell, thank you so much for being willing to give us your valuable time on one of our most important commissions. Thank you, sir.
Mayor, happy birthday.
Thank you very much. And since it's a reappointment, there's no swearing in, so you're good to go. Or, I mean, you're good. You don't have to come up. I mean, and you're also good to go if you want to leave too, but that's fine. So we won't be offended.
Unless you want to come up.
Okay. Item number 8, recognitions. This evening we have no recognitions. Number 9, proclamations. We have no proclamations this evening. That takes us to item 10, presentations, and we have one of the most crucial presentations of the year, the Havre Grace Independence Day Special Events presentation, led by the members of the Havre Grace Independence Commission team. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
Good evening. We actually have several members of our commission here tonight, so you'll get to hear a little bit from different people. It is that time of year to start to gear up for our 2023 Independence Day celebration. Along with myself tonight, I have Taryn Martin, Nikki Fournier, and Christina Bracknell. So Mike Bracknell is also on the commission, but he's home with the children. And Steve Gamatoria Jr. handles our money. Not quite sure. We don't really need him yet. We will. We are planning this year to have our festivities on Sunday, July the 2nd, with the parade starting at 2 o'clock. A ticketed concert at the Frank Hutchins Park beginning at 7. A free concert at the Concord Point Park, beginning at 7:30, and then fireworks along the Susquehanna River at 9:15. Karen is going to talk a little bit about the parade.
Yep. So thank you all for your consideration tonight of our event applications, which I know you'll be voting on later. So as the parade chairman, I can tell you that the parade is hopefully going to proceed much the way it has the past few years. We will be starting at 2 p.m. at Warren Street and Union Avenue, just like normal. As usual, we'll feature marching bands, color guards, community groups, local businesses, a few elected officials perhaps, and much, much more. Last year, we had over 23 paid bands, and we're looking to even increase that number this year and get as many musical groups in as we can. We are always looking for new applicants to our parade, and our parade application is live once you approve our application tonight. So it can be found on our website, hdgjuly4th.com, or you can find us on Facebook or contact any of the members of the commission for a very simple application. Some highlights from last year, of course, we had the wonderful Grand Marshal Al Petaroff of the Cat Club. We had the National Guard vehicles. We had Vulcan. We have, of course, the Susquehanna Hose Company and the Havre Grace Warrior Marching Band, one of our many local bands that we have. The biggest difficulty in running an event this size, of course, is the toll it takes on our city resources, our city staff, and of course, our citizens. So if you've been in Havre de Grace long enough, you know that it's best to just consider Havre de Grace shut down that day. Park early. If you're wondering what streets are closed, almost all of them are. If you're wondering how long they are, all day is like your best option, right, Chief? Does that make it easy? Sum it up. Yeah, so it's pretty much the street closures you're going to find this year are very similar to what has been in the past 5 years since we've taken over. Your lineup area in the back, Juniata, Stokes, Pennington, Congress, Bourbon, and Warren, that area closes about 11 a.m. because we have hundreds and thousands of people lining up to prepare for the parade. Of course, the parade route, Union Avenue and Commerce mostly, that is mostly closed from 1 until 4 or 4:30. And then our areas by the parks, by Concord Point Park and Hutchins Park, will be closed throughout the day for preparation and for the concerts themselves. These street closures and all will be gone over in great detail by our commission, the police chief, DPW, director of administration. We'll have meetings, many meetings leading up to the event, but citizens, you can expect it will be very similar to what has been done in the past. Does that sound about right, Christy? Okay. All right, and now I'm going to pass it off to Nikki Fournier, who's going to talk about the concert at Hutchins Park.
Hi, so the concert at Hutchins Park, we've tried a few different things, different years, had some more success some years than others. I think one of the big things that we learned last year was that we need 2 bands. There was a typo before, gates at 5, music is gonna start at 5:30. We're trying to accommodate the 2 different crowds that we see, the folks who want something to do after the parade and then they want to get out of Dodge before they have to deal with fireworks traffic, and the folks who want to chill at home and come in to see the fireworks. We love this event. It's still growing, but it's a lot of fun. Food trucks, beer truck, same as before. I've worked this event in previous years. I managed it last year. My name was on the liquor license. We've not had any incidents. It seems to be a good time for everybody, and it's a good opportunity for us to do some fundraising with the beer truck and the tickets. So we'll have food vendors, beer truck. Our plan is to put tickets on sale on Eventbrite May 1st at the visitors and at the visitor center, and we're going to try like a pre-sale price of $15 and then up to $20. Basically in July or at the gate, which is pretty much one or the other. People will be bringing their own chairs and blankets. And the 2 bands that we've got this year that are Under the Covers as the opener, and then Doc Martin and the Flannels. Both of them draw big crowds in Havre de Grace. They're very well liked. So we're expecting good turnout. Under the Covers will start at 5:30, break I think around 7:30. And Doc Martin will take us up until the fireworks. That's the plan there. And back to Taryn.
Okay, and if that ticketed, kind of 80s, 90s band is not your scene, then we've got something for the rest of you, which is gonna be the free concert down at Concord Point Park. Our plan is, it's not confirmed, but should be, the Maryland Military Band coming back. They've played for us the past 2 years, and they do a wonderful patriotic selection. They've been incredibly popular. It's a free concert down at the Lighthouse. I mean, it does not get more iconic than that, than the military band playing some patriotic tunes and the fireworks go off. It's kind of amazing. Free admission, concert starts at 7:30. There'll be food trucks there, blankets and chairs. And last year we had a great crowd, a happy crowd. It was quite I know, it was quite inspiring, wasn't it, Mr. Gamatory? Quite inspiring. And then, of course, to top off the night, we're going to have some fireworks. And they're going to be shot right off the barge there, right by the Concord Point Lighthouse, visible from all along the shoreline. So anywhere you can get close, you can see them. It's going to be a beautiful, clear night. I've already asked for that, so we're in good shape. And for the fireworks, we especially thank the entire city of Havre, and especially Director of Administration Steve Gamatory for coordinating that, as well as an amazing partnership with Vulcan Materials Company, who really makes that happen. So we are thrilled to be a part of that. Okay, next up, Christina's going to talk about some sponsors and volunteer opportunities for all of you out there trying to get involved.
Because nobody here does anything, right? Thank you all for your consideration and your attention tonight. I don't want to take any more of your time. You all know this is the biggest party of the year. We throw the best parade in Maryland, in my humble opinion. So we're always needing sponsors. We're always needing volunteers. So please send them our way. We need them. This is our list of 2022 sponsors. We can't thank them enough. But we're always looking for more, and especially always looking for more volunteers. So of course, you can always check out our website and our Facebook page. So thank you very much for your consideration again.
Wrap it up. Okie dokie. As they said, thank you for your consideration. Thank you for all your support. And we look forward to being able to have this celebration based on your approval on Sunday, July the 2nd. Any questions?
Council, any questions? Councilman Robertson.
Not a question. I just want to say thank you for all that you guys do. This is a year-long process. I mean, here it is January. We're already talking about July, and there's so much more that these folks still have to do. So if you see them, get them a cup of coffee or something, tell them thanks. And better yet, do like Christina said, and, see how you can help out for an hour or two or whatever the case may be. So thank you.
Councilmember Zinner?
Thank you. I don't have a question either. I just want to make a couple comments based on our ask for additional volunteers. This is basically the commission without Mike being here and without Steve Gamatory Jr. being here. So when you listen to Taryn talk about all the activities, I think you can get a feel for the amount of time and work that goes into this planning. Now, we're fortunate because we've had successful parades in the past, and we've kind of worked out a system of things so that we can do the work smarter than maybe the first or second year around. However, I just want to make point that we invite thousands of people here for this parade, and so many of you who are residents, citizens, enjoy this parade and look forward to it. So what we're asking is just a little bit of your time to help and volunteer. Everyone up on this dais volunteers for that parade, but we want more citizens. One of the things that we need on the day of parade, Taryn has a habit of running back and forth from the front of the parade to the back of the parade, trying to keep things moving. But if we could have a total of 3 people, only 3 people doing that, we could have somebody at the front of the parade, in the middle of the parade, and the back of the parade, and you'll have your own walkie-talkies. You can be famous for a day. But that's what I'm asking for. And also, our committee meeting is this Monday at 7 p.m., and it's an open meeting. So if you're listening to me and you have some interest in maybe being on one of these subcommittees, it's not a whole lot of work, but it's concentrated work. So we reach out to all the groups that Taryn mentioned. We reach out to food vendors. We reach out and have contracts that have to be signed. So having a little help would be much appreciated. So if you enjoy the parade, think of what some of your talents are and go on the website and send us a message, and we'll be more than happy to get in touch with you to help us on the, before the 2nd of July, so that the 2nd of July is very successful. The other thing I want to add is the Concord Point concert is really more family-oriented than the Hutchins Park concert. There are the food trucks there, but I've covered that Concord Point concert in the past, and it's mostly family-oriented with lots of children. And so if you want to bring your family, that's the place to bring them. If you want to listen to a different type of band and different music and enjoy yourself in that fashion, then Hutchins Park's for you. So look forward to seeing all of you on the 4th of July. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Any other questions or comments? Thank you very much. Okay, item 11 is resolutions. This evening we have one resolution, and regarding support of a bond initiative for the Havre Star Center. And this resolution is going to be introduced by the Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, citizens, I make a motion to introduce a resolution concerning the support of a bond initiative for the Havre Star Center for adoption.
Second.
Council had a motion by the Council President, seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to introduce a resolution. Questions or comments on this introduction? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
On us.
Is there a nay?
I think it came from the audience.
No, I thought, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Yeah, I swear I've heard nay. Was it just me? Okay. 6-0. All right. Somebody was fighting the introduction. Okay. Motion to introduce the resolution carries 6-0 in the affirmative. This is going to be Resolution 2023-01. Happy New Year. 2023-01. A resolution by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, pursuant to the local government article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and sections 33 and 34 of the city charter to support a bond initiative for the Havre de Grace Star Center from the Maryland General Assembly. Council to have a motion to adopt Resolution 2023-01.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Zinner, second by Councilmember Martin. Questions or comments? Council President?
All right, the purpose of this resolution is to allow us to solicit money from the Maryland General Assembly. A bill was introduced by our delegates already to the House and to the House. The Senate bill was cross-filed today by Mary Delaney James, and we hope that we can get this through so we can get funding from the state. And it sounds like with the bond initiative, we're asking to borrow money. This is actually, we're looking for grant money from the state.
Thanks, Council President. Any other questions or comments? Okay, Council, I'm going to do a roll call on Resolution 2023-01. Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Schnegas.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner.
Yes.
Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
Council President Ringsager.
Yes.
Our roll call vote is 6-0 in the affirmative. City Council Resolution 2023-01 is adopted and approved by the Council. Thank you very much, Council. We're going to go to item 12 on the agenda, ordinances. We have one ordinance for first reading. And I'm going to hand this off to the council president as well.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I make a motion to introduce an ordinance concerning the transfer of 700 Congress Avenue from Harford County to Havre for first reading.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on first reading. Questions or comments on the introduction of this ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce an ordinance carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Ordinance concerning a transfer of 700 Congress Avenue from Harford County to Havre de Grace. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to ratify and affirm the transfer of 700 Congress Avenue, Havre de Grace, Maryland 21078, from Harford County, Maryland, to the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace. Council, this is going to be known as Ordinance 1095. Do I have a motion to adopt Ordinance 1095 on first reading?
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Martin, seconded by Councilmember Schneegis. Questions or comments? Sir.
Yeah, what this ordinance does is actually officially transfers it from the county to us. So it's us accepting it and then designating a Parks and Rec building, so it grants us certain leniency and funding. There we go.
Thank you very much, Council President. Any other questions or comments? Roll call vote on the first reading of Ordinance 1095. Councilmember Boyer.
Yes.
Councilmember Robertson.
Yes.
Council President.
Yes.
Councilmember Schneegis.
Yes.
Councilmember Zinner. Yes. Councilmember Martin.
Yes.
By roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative, Ordinance 1095 concerning transfer of 700 Congress Avenue from Harford County to Havre de Grace is approved and adopted on first reading. Council President, when would you like to have the public hearing?
Let's see here. What's the next meeting date? I apologize. So that would be the 7th? No, the 6th.
February 6th.
February 6th. Yep.
All right, perfect. Okay, public hearing will be February 6th at the next regularly scheduled council meeting at 7 o'clock preceding the council meeting for Ordinance 1095. Thank you, Council President.
Sir.
Okay, item 13, old business. This evening we have no old business. That takes us to item 14, new business. We have several items here. We have a budget amendment, and then we have some special events to approve. So the budget amendment is going to be 2023-09, and I'm going to hand that off to the chair of the Budget and Finance Committee. That's going to be Councilmember Robertson. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members. I move to approve Budget Amendment 2023-09.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by Councilmember Robertson. It's seconded by Councilmember Martin. This is a motion to approve Budget Amendment 2023-09 for the purchase of 2 trolleys. Questions or comments? Councilmember Robertson.
Just for the listening audience and viewing audience, this is budget amendment using $145K in ARPA funding, which this is allowable under the uses of ARPA funding because it promotes tourism, to purchase the additional 2 trolleys. This will give us the capability to run the trolleys more often and, less likely to have one down charging while the others are operational. Also included with that is the ability for folks with disabilities to get on and get off of the trolley.
Thank you, Councilmember Robertson. Councilmember Martin.
Mr. Mayor, Council, as Councilmember Robertson stated, this will give us the addition of ADA compliant vehicles. You've extolled over almost all your meetings about how great, how safe they are. We've seen a lot of ridership of residents from Havre de Grace as well as outside the area. This will give us better access to all the residents in Havre de Grace, but all the visitors we get coming in. So I applaud the movement of going forward and adding the ADA vehicles to our fleet.
Thank you, Councilmember Martin. Any other questions or comments? Councilmember Shanegas?
I would just like to add to the fact that it would be a definite benefit to have an addition to our fleet. It will help improve the mobility of our citizens, to alleviate parking concerns by using our facilities where we have additional parking, such as at the Star Center, et cetera. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to continue to welcome citizens and as well as our tourists and visitors that come in to just see our facility without just, our city, I should say, without just driving by and seeing, oh, here we go. When you're in the trolley, you can actually see and be a part of what's going on and not have to worry about your driving and just be able to take in more of what's happening in our city. I encourage it. I think it's great. It will be a welcomed addition for everyone, and I hope that we're able to add to our fleet.
Thank you very much. Yes.
I just have a question. So, well, with the addition of the trolleys, is it going to, it's not going to change the route or the frequency, it's just going to make it so that we have additional trolleys available?
Correct. I mean, the game plan so far is to keep the same route, keep the same frequency of a weekend operations. But the popularity of the trolleys has really pushed them to their limit. We've been playing scientists with the batteries and the battery life, and we notice when the weather gets colder outside, the batteries don't last as long. So, plus we have no backup in case one goes down. The whole system would. We were very lucky, knock on wood, that this inaugural season we had, starting in May, that all 4 of them were up and running and they ran well. But get these 2 additional trolleys would give us a safeguard in case one, for whatever reason, needed a tire or needed a repair. But also we can deploy those extra 2 trolleys on like First Friday events or any kind of like big event in the city to help move people around. So we believe, this administration believes, with the help of council, that putting 2 more into service would ensure any breakdowns in the system, as well as help out the movement of people during big events.
And I know with the current trolleys, we had to make some changes in order for motor vehicles to give us the licenses. Are they going to?
They're going to come.
Be able to take the lessons
They're
learned?
going to come prepared this time from the factory. There were a couple things that,
Like
the
window
for example,
wiper
we
thing,
needed
yeah.
windshield washers.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that, neither did the factory. So we had our DPW guys kind of rigged them up where they work. But everything is going to come this time ready to go and street legal from the factory. So these will be, and as we stated, one of them will be, 2 of them will be ready, ADA compliant.
Does that mean the wheelchair will be able to roll onto it? How is it ADA compliant?
Midship on one side, there'll be a ramp that comes down in the ADA. Whether you're a walker or a cart, you can get up on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, very well. We are on Budget Amendment 2023-9. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Budget Amendment carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Councilmember Robertson, you mind giving us those account numbers real quick?
They're in the record, but sure, Mr. Mayor. In the from column, account number 01-0001-4900, fund transfers, Fund 4, ARPA, ARPA, $145,000. In the to column, account number 01-1091-6501, trolley purchase, 2 trolleys, $145,000.
Great, all good. Thank you very much. Councilmember Zinner?
Sorry, I have a quick question. Is this going to come out of this year's budget or next year's budget?
This is
there's
adding-
a waiting time.
This year.
This year. Thank you.
Yeah, just to clarify, the purpose for the amendment is because there wasn't an expenditure line item for the trolleys in the current year's budget. So that's what we're establishing there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Zinner. Okay, excellent. Item B, special events. We have 4 special events to be approved, and I'm going to hand it off to Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, before you, we have 4 special events, the first being the River Sweep. This is the 23rd Annual River Sweep of the Lower Susquehanna Heritage Greenway and along the banks of the Susquehanna River. On-site contact person will be Peter Green. It's sponsored by the LSHG. They are a 501c3 of Havre Grace. The event will take place on the 22nd of April. Setup time will be 7:30. It'll actually kick off at 8:30 and last till noon. The meeting place will be down at the gazebo at Tidings Park. Our DPW crews will be supporting the event with trucks, trash bags, and so on for anything that's pulled out of the along the shoreline. The call sheet is at the back of your packet, and this will be, again, as I said, the 23rd annual, so we feel like we have the system down to a science. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Camatoria. Council, I have a motion to approve River Sweep.
So moved.
A motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by Council President. Questions or comments? Councilmember Boyer?
So I've participated in this event for many years. I've taken out my kayak and pulled out some very interesting things out of the off of the shoreline. The most interesting of which was a gas propane container full, and the DPW guys were wonderful, helping to pick stuff up all along the way. Driving around. We've had a wonderful volunteers. I encourage people to come out and give a couple of hours. If you have a boat and you're available to help, we're in desperate need of that during this because along the shoreline, especially along the Joe K Trail, there is inevitably tires, other large things that you can't really pick up and put in your trash bag and walk back to the head of the trail. And we have people literally all over the city doing a pickup. So it's a fabulous event. It definitely pays dividends to our city. I know that there's a cost for our DPW guys going around and picking it up, but it's well worth it because of the benefit to the larger community and just making the whole place look a lot nicer. And it's a great camaraderie, wonderful groups of people all coming together. Meeting down at Tidings Park. It's just a great event. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? Okay. River Sweep 2023. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. River Sweep 2023 for April 22nd is passed and approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Mr. Gamatoya.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, this will be the first of 3 special event applications for the Independence Day celebration. The first is the Independence Day Parade, sponsored by the Havre Grace Independence Day Commission. We saw the presentation this evening. The parade setup time will begin at 8 a.m. on July the 2nd. The parade is from 2 to 4:30. Breakdown begins at 6 p.m. Within your packet, which is very well done, by the way, with the maps showing the lineup, the route, the parking, and then for the parade itself, the setup and execution, and then lastly, the costing sheet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatoria. Council, do I have a motion to approve Independence Day Parade for July 2nd, 2023?
So moved.
Second.
Jason, do you have the motion? Okay.
I did.
A motion by Councilman Robertson, seconded by Councilmember Schnegas. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Independence Day Parade for July 2nd, 2023 from 2 o'clock to 4:30 p.m. is approved by council. Mr. Gamatoria.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next event for the day will be the Independence Day concert at Hutchins Park. Again, sponsored by the Havre Grace Independence Day Commission. Nikki Fournier, who spoke on this evening, was also the contact person on site. The setup will begin at noon on the 2nd. The concert is from 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock, and the breakdown is at 11 o'clock. Within your packet, again, is the map of the Hutchins Park area, showing where the food trucks, beer sales, entrance, and checkpoints are. Also, again, a setup and execution document, and then the special events worksheet, the costing sheet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. Council, I motion to approve Independence Day concert at Hutchins Park.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zinner, seconded by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Independence Day concert at Hutchins Park, July 2nd, 2023, from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock is approved, 6-0 in affirmative. Mr. Gamatori.
Council, the last event application this evening is, again, the Independence Day festivities. It's the concert at Concord Point Park. The Independence Day Commission is the sponsoring organization. On-site contact persons, Taryn Martin, who spoke this evening. The setup for that event is, again, on the 2nd, begins at 4 p.m. The actual event starts at 7, ends at 10. The mapping is in your packet, depicting the locations down at Concord Point Park, where there'll be no parking and where the event will take place. The setup and execution documents enclosed, as is the costing sheet at the end of your packet. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Gamatori. Council, I have a motion to approve Independence Day concert at Concord Point Park.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Zinner and seconded by Councilmember Robertson. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Independence Day concert at Concord Point Park, July 2nd, 2023, from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Approved, 6-0 in the affirmative. Okay, thank you very much, Council, for your support on special events. We'll go to item 15, Director's Report, and start with the Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one item. I'd like to thank the council for the budget amendment this evening. Mr. Seipold was awaiting the freeing up of those funds so he can place the order. As mentioned here, the units should come in fully charged and ready to operate as soon as they land. And both will be AD accessible, and we are in the process of finishing up a new home for the trolleys, which will be over in the former ladies' locker room at the high school gymnasium. So those renovations are occurring as we speak. So as they arrive and as we pull them from the mothballs of this winter to the spring, we'll have a new home for them. They'll be in a climate-controlled area 24/7. That's all, Mr. Mayor. Former locker room, now trolley garage.
It's the trolley locker.
Thank you, sir. We're going to go to Director of Planning. Good evening, Mr. Boursier.
Good evening, everybody. Happy birthday, Mayor. All the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As a birthday gift, I'll be brief this evening. Just again on the comprehensive plan, we have 2 weeks left for people to give their comments on this part of the plan that's helping us create the vision. Again, if you go to Envision HDG, just type that into Google. It'll take you to our website where we have story maps that are there to help inspire you to give input and discuss the vision of the future for the city of Havre de Grace. So there's 2 weeks left in that. If anybody's interested in that, please go to Envision HDG while you have a chance. If you want to be involved in the comprehensive plan and not necessarily the visioning part, or you've already done your part there, We're holding comprehensive plan workshops after every planning commission meeting. Those are generally scheduled the second Monday of every month. There are some conflicts, so we've had to move those meetings to the second Tuesday of the month. Nevertheless, you can always find that information at least 2 weeks in advance and available on the city website. And you can always contact me or anybody in the planning department, and we can give you information on that. We're meeting with the folks at EDAB tomorrow to discuss the comprehensive plan and the economic development element of the comprehensive plan. If there's any of the committees that any of you are liaisons on and you'd like one of us to come and speak to you about the comprehensive plan and see how we could integrate some of the things that all of you are doing into the plan, we'd be more than glad to. Just, again, please contact me and we can set something up to do that. Outside of the comprehensive plan, the Maryland Historical Trust has webinars going. They had some problems today, so I have to join later in the week, but they're discussing their annual resources that are available for historic districts and historic properties. We plan on attending those and getting some questions to them for a Q&A period in February. And if any of those work for the city, then we would pursue those to continue to make our historic district continue to keep it great. And lastly, we're back onto the open permits project. We've worked with Mrs. Eshok and some other people in our department to make sure that program's being done fairly equitably and that we're taking care of some of these old issues. So anyone at home shouldn't be alarmed if they get a letter in the mail. We're just trying to close out some old permits and take care of some issues in the city that kind of we got lost because of COVID. We're still playing catch up on some of those things. So please don't be alarmed. Just contact us, and we're always willing to work through any issues that anyone might have with an open permit. And that's it from planning.
Thank you very much, Tim. Appreciate the update. Good evening, Ms. Bridget Johnson, Director of Economic Development and Tourism.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens at home. Mayor, I will wait until the meeting adjourns before I sing my karaoke version of Happy Birthday to you. But happy birthday anyway. No one wants to hear it. Yesterday, for MLK Day, so I know that we all celebrated that, and there was closings, of course, and with the government. But we did hold a ribbon cutting yesterday for the Ultimate Drink Cafe, located at 811 Revolution Street. And Mr. Mayor, I did give out the city flag on your behalf. This business was so excited to open in the city of Havre de Grace. They have a business currently in Aberdeen. They love the ribbon cutting. They loved the turnout. I'm sure several council members will make remarks about it as well. But it was the welcoming atmosphere that they felt from the city of Havre de Grace. Several of the businesses from the downtown showed up. The Havre de Grace Chamber of Commerce represented yesterday. It was a great opening, and we are happy to have them here in the city of Havre de Grace. Anytime a building, particularly a vacant building, is purchased and it's back, with a thriving or soon-to-be thriving business inside of that building, that is something for us to be proud of. Additionally, the public grand opening for the Market Street Brewery is Friday, January 27th. So we have been putting that information out to the public as well. We enjoy working with them, and we're looking forward to their grand opening and ribbon cutting. Speaking of trolleys, I didn't want anyone to forget, Wanda Boker, our consultant, had a meeting with EDA today, the Economic Development Administration, and our shuttle bus that I have been talking about for seems like 2 years, but it's been about 9 months. We should be in a position to order that within the next week. This shuttle bus will also be ADA accessible and ready to drive on the road. We have also learned our lesson with getting the title and the tags ahead of time, so it will come from the factory that way. The bus has 15 seats, and it's ADA accessible when we're able to take out 5 or 6 seats to allow for a wheelchair. So we'll do that. We'll do that when needed. But I'm hoping it arrives in the spring as well, but we do not have a date. The Economic Development Advisory Board meets tomorrow at 4 o'clock in council chambers. That meeting is open to the public. Tim Boussier is our guest speaker, and as well as the Tourism Advisory Board meets tomorrow here in council chambers at 10 a.m. So again, we always like to remind everyone and invite the public to those meetings. The Maryland General Assembly session started on January 11th. I like to remind everyone because our Department, Economic Development and Tourism, as well as our partner, the Havre de Grace Chamber of Commerce, will be supporting Adam this year any way that he needs help, whether it's testimony for the bond initiative that was talked about earlier in the evening, letters of support. We have a couple days already scheduled to go down to Annapolis. One is Tourism Day, Economic Development Day, Havre Night in Annapolis, and basically anytime he needs us to be available to support the initiatives coming out of this administration. As always, I would like to tell all of the citizens at home and everyone here to visit all of our city social media websites and explore Havre de Grace Facebook and explore Havre de Grace website is where you can find information on all upcoming events, ribbon cuttings, and any other information we could possibly put on that site at this moment. So are there any questions? Yes.
Is the bus going to require a driver that has a CDL license?
No, he doesn't have, the bus driver does not have to have a CDL license.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
update. Wonderful. Yes.
So what is the route going to be for the new bus?
Right. So we are working that out. I don't think at this moment it's going to be utilized as the other trolleys are, which is a good thing because this is the bus that I've been talking about that has the ability to go outside of our downtown limits. It is a regular vehicle, so it can go up to, well, it can go anywhere, but our intent was to have it to go to places like Stepping Stone Museum, the park and ride at the top of I-95, the community center, wherever we need it to go. So as we incorporate it into our trolley route, we'll use it as needed. But we have to plan that out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Next, a man who's near and dear to all of our hearts, Mr. Doherty, Director of Finance.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good to see you, sir.
It's good to be seen. First of all, happy birthday. And since I don't let lack of talent dampen my enthusiasm, no, I'm kidding. I'd also like to thank Tracy Conaway for filling in for me at the last meeting. I understand she did a yeoman's job, and I appreciate her for that and wanted to recognize. Now for the general condition of the major funds in the city. General Fund number 1 is sitting at just under $6 million. It's about $600,000 above where we estimated it to be at this time. Most of that can be attributed to less than anticipated expenses of about $685,000. The revenues are actually slightly below, but I don't think $70,000 below on $17 million is too big an adjustment. The Water and Sewer Fund, the fund balance is sitting at just over $1 million. It's about $800,000 below budget. About $500,000 of that is due to delays in reflecting the January water bills, which will be done later this week. So that drops it down to about $300,000. And most of that can be attributed to either the slow building. We're about $150,000 behind in what we anticipated being, but spring is coming, and so we know we're going to rebound strong. And the rest of it is basically projects that are grant funded, not going as fast as they should, and therefore the revenues are behind. The Marina Fund, the balance is a little over $1.3 million. It's about $185,000 above where we thought it would be at this time. Revenues are up by about $67,000, mostly fuel, as I always tell you. That's the driver, is the fuel sales at the marina, until the season really starts. And then, and expenses are running below budget by about $118,000, and most of that has to do with the delays in the fuel tank, which we are still waiting to get so that we can get it installed before this new boating season. We keep knocking on wood and seeing what happens. And that's the current status of the three major funds right now, sir. Any questions?
Any questions for George? Councilman Martin?
One positive comment. Thank you very much for not singing tonight.
You don't know how welcome you are.
Thank you, George.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Melizer, Director of DPW. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Mr. Mayor. Thanks. It's good to be back. George, it's great to have you back. As well, I'd like to thank Mr. Tim Whitty for standing in for me. Did an excellent job. And all the DPW team members who rose to the occasion to take on leadership roles as some of our DPW members are going through some treatments and are out sick. So I'd just like to recognize them and appreciate that. The dual launch boat ramp has been completed. Underwood's working now on the portion of the living shoreline by Water Street. We look forward to addressing some of the drainage issues in the area. Next, an engineering company reached out to me about doing some testing for leaks across the river at the VA in Perry Point. So any boaters driving down, boating down Susquehanna, if they notice any food coloring or any distortion through Wednesday through Friday, we will field the calls happily, but that is just testing that's going on at VA Perry Point for some leaks that they're experiencing. Next, everybody's favorite subject, the sidewalk in Juniata. It's wrapping up. There's about 300 linear feet of sidewalk down. Looking forward to finishing up that near the end of the week after our inspectors verify some ADA compliance and weather permitting. Lastly, I'd like to give a shout out to two DPW employees who did an excellent job on a FEMA course that's nationally recognized to help disaster preparedness for the city of Havre de Grace for debris management. So I'd like to recognize Roger Moyer and David Morrell. Many know him as Shrek, but they stepped on, took a leadership role for the city, and not only did they pass with flying colors for the 4-day course, but they were the only representatives and attendees from Maryland. So give some credit to them. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Any questions for EJ? All right, thank you, sir. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and citizens. It's this time of the year, it seems like always, like winter into spring, we start seeing more and more scams pop up. Everything from the telephone scams where people call, say that they're from the IRS and that you owe so much money, or they're from a police department saying that, you know, a loved one needs to be bailed out. They have your information. The IRS doesn't call you. They will, you know, usually send you information, so please don't fall for that. Same thing with law enforcement. If we have a warrant for somebody or if somebody does need assistance, we don't generally call. There's other avenues that law enforcement takes care of. The other thing that we are starting to see a little bit across the country are rental scams, and by that what I mean is people now with electronics and people being able to, rent or purchase anything online. We are starting to see more and more of those scams, so we just want to remind people, especially if you're going to rent a house, an apartment or condo, do your due diligence on the owner of the property. They will do if they're legitimate, they'll also do their due diligence on you, but make sure that you vet them very well. If you can meet them at all in person, that's great, or somebody, if they have a property management company, try to make contact with the property management company to make sure that they are legitimate. Also check with the Better Business Bureau as well, just to see if, again, they're legitimate or if there's been any complaints or issues that have been filed against them. The other thing is if you can actually see the property in person, that's great. Or if you know of somebody in the area that can also check on the property for you, that is wonderful as well. Also make sure that if they ask for a deposit first, before you've signed any lease, don't do that. Please do not do that. That's not something that they will generally do. If the price is too low, too good to be true, you know, if you're renting a mansion and it's only like $1,500, not only, but if it's $1,500 and it's I don't know, like a 5,000 square foot mansion, there's probably some kind of issue with it, especially if it's on the beach. So just be careful of that. And Also, if they're not doing any screening process on you, most people, if they're going to rent their property to you, they're going to really want to do some background check on you also. So please pay attention to that as well. So we just want you all to know about some of those things, and they're very basic things that most of us know throughout our life, but we have a tendency to forget about them. So just be careful, because there's lots and scams out there, and we don't want anybody to lose their money or their savings. So Mayor, that would be it.
Thank you very much, Chief. Appreciate it. Thank you. We're going to item 16, business from the mayor's office. Well, you know, this past weekend, if you were around town, you noticed there were lots of men walking around without pants on. That's because they were wearing kilts. And so this past weekend was the Havre Grace Winter Celtic Festival that was held primarily at the Star Center on Congress Avenue, and it was a wonderful event. Hats off and much appreciation to the members of the Havre Grace Winter Celtic Festival nonprofit. They did a tremendous task on a big event. It was a 3-day event. It included vendors and Highland games and food and crafts and nonstop Celtic music. So we welcome those events in the city of Havre de Grace. We welcome the culture, and we hope it's successful. So I'm pretty sure Councilmember Martin might say a few words later about it. Maybe? Okay, all right. So I'll talk about all of it, but I just wanted to say that it was a very impressive event, and we hope it was successful enough to continue. On January 21st, at the American Legion at 11 a.m., American Legion is going to be dedicating the bridge over over I-95, the Route 155 bridge, right up here, up on the hill, to a man named Ronald A. Spudis, who was a specialist in the 7th Cavalry. He was 21 years old when he lost his life in Vietnam on December 11, 1971. He was a Havre de Grace resident, and the American Legion is going to honor him in his service and his sacrifice at a dedication at 11 o'clock on the 21st of January at the American Legion. They'll be dedicating the bridge that goes over I-95. Councilmember Robertson, is there anything you wanted to add to that? Okay. So, and finally, there was a passing of a gentleman who is no stranger to people in the city of Havre de Grace. Mr. Bob Green passed away over the weekend. I think almost everybody in Havre de Grace knew Mr. Green. He was a very familiar face, and he was the purveyor of civility, as we like to call him. He was a gentleman in every sense of the word and an outstanding model citizen. And every interaction that I've had with him personally was always very pleasant and very positive. I did not know Mr. Green his whole life. I've only known him probably for about maybe 10, 13 years since I've been around public service. But Mr. Green, without a doubt, was around much longer. So he was a familiar face recently because he always wore orange because he was a great member of the Cat Club for the city of Havre de Grace. So he'll be missed by his friends. He'll be missed by his community. His impact that he did every day is going to be felt soon. And so God bless Mr. Green. Thank you for your service, my friend, and his family members. He'll be missed. With that said, we're going to go to Councilmember Boyer. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to first say thank you very much. I'm very happy to hear about the sidewalk on Juniata. It's something that we've been long waiting for and will be absolutely helpful to the students as they're walking to school so that they don't go out into the road to walkway. I want to also give kudos to the Independence Committee and thank you guys for all you do. It's such a huge task. I don't think people really have any idea of the amount of logistics and commitment and literal sweat that is required to do it. But at the same time, I have to say, as somebody who has volunteered for a long time for the parade, it's easy, it's fun, and it's so rewarding to see so many people in our town having such a wonderful time and just enjoying everything that Havre de Grace is and so much more. So I really want to encourage everyone, really, the 3 people, I mean, your job will be literally to stand along the parade route and watch the parade. We all already do it. The difference is you'll have a walkie-talkie and a really awesome yellow shirt that goes with it. So I want to let everyone know that the Green Team is having a board meeting on the 21st of January from 10 to 12 at the library. I know that's a little bit of a conflict for the dedication, so hopefully we can, it's not going to be short. We'll figure out some way to work around that a little bit. The Green Team is also going to have a movie at the Opera House on the 19th of January at 7 p.m. The movie is titled Reflection, A Walk with Water, and there will be a discussion following. The Truck Traffic Committee that was appointed at the last meeting will have our first meeting online on the 24th of January at 6:30, and it's mainly administrative in nature. And the Street and Traffic Safety Committee has changed their date of the meeting so that we can have our City Council Joint Public Works Session on the fee schedule on the 23rd. So we're going to be having our Street and Traffic Safety Committee meeting on the 30th at the Colored School at 6 p.m. And I also want to just want to thank the Lord for Mr. Green. And he's such a wonderful, wonderful man, and we were all blessed just by his presence and his love for our dear city, and he will be sorely missed. So God bless you, Mr. Green.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Good evening, Councilmember Zinner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council, and our audience here and at home. I want to offer my condolences to Mr. Green's family and also to the members of the Historic Preservation Commission, of which he was a member. And I was trying to think if I had seen him last Tuesday at our meeting, and because I can always picture him in the seat where he usually sat. And I realized that he did have a ride to the commission meeting, but he said he wasn't feeling well. And now some folks are trying to piece together when the last time they saw him. So I do want to offer my condolences. And I found out yesterday, talking to Al Petroff, that he was one of 19 children. 19. So that was quite a surprise, but I guess that's where he learned to purveyor of civility, because when you're one of 19, you better be civil. Or you might not make your second or third birthday, I don't know. So anyway, but I'll definitely miss him at those meetings and miss his wit and his kindness. So I also had a nickname for him, and when I told him, I said, "You're Mr. Aristocrat Cat," for the Cat Club. So he laughed when he heard that. He said, "I like that." So like I said, I am going to miss him. Just again to the family, and God bless Mr. Green, and he was just a wonderful person, and especially to see him every day, because you couldn't miss him. He was a very hard worker. The other thing I want to do, and I'm going to let Councilmember Martin talk about this, but I do want to congratulate the members of the Winter Celtic Festival organizing team. There was it was easy to see that there was a significant amount of work that went into that to make it what it was, and I'm only going to mention Councilmember Martin's name, because I'm going to forget someone, and then that's not polite. So I'll let him call out people he wishes to call out that helped him work on the festivities and pull all the logistics together, because I remember the weather last year. It snowed and kind of messed up the number of people who stayed on Sunday, but we had really nice weather for the most part of the weekend, and I'm glad for everything that was planned and that it could go on without a hitch. So well done, and congratulations. And the other thing, I attended the ribbon cutting for the Ultimate Drink Cafe, And I do think he has a good location, and as the weather warms up and the students come walking by, he had quite an extensive menu, much more than Rita's water ice. So I think he has the makings of a good business and a successful business, and I do hope he is prosperous in his location. The other thing I want to talk a little bit about is the tool design group that was here last week and offered their presentation. I know parking is a consideration. I know people are concerned about the parking situation and doing away with the planet parking. And I want to tell you, I had an accident in front of Goals one day, and it was the first day I had my new insurance company. I had my little Soul that I don't think is more than like 12 feet long, and the woman who parked next to me was driving her husband's Silverado super duper long pickup truck and wasn't used to driving it. She didn't pull up to the curb to park. So when I backed out, I felt the difference in the roadway between my parking space and then the brick lining. So I thought I was safe to turn my wheel. Well, I hit her. She had a rusty skirt on this car and on this vehicle. And we called the police and did a police report, and I offered to, since it was the first day I had this insurance, I said, I'll be willing to pay you. But they didn't want to do that. They reported it to the insurance company. In Maryland, if your claim is under $1,000, they can't increase your insurance. My claim was $1,007 for a rusty skirt over a wheel in an older vehicle. My insurance doubled. So I think I'll be happy to see none of those diagonal parking spaces, because with the size of the vehicles that we have today that are parking like that, it's really difficult for a smaller vehicle to back out and really see what's happening to the side of them on that street without, and when you're doing that, it's always your fault, because basically you're pulling out of from a stop. So I took responsibility, and then I got my increase of 50% on my insurance for $7. So anyway, that's that story. But the thing that I want to point out is I'm an extremely visual person, and having those overlays that they provided in terms of the Walmart parking lot and also the Christiana Mall. Admittedly, they're inside spaces, so once you get there from your parking space, you can walk around in relative comfort. But I do think it was a smart thing to do for us and for the citizens to see how many parking spaces we have in a particular given area, because they counted each space. And I'm not as concerned about the number of spaces when I saw what they did. And when you start to apply some logic to that and educate people, I think we'll get more acceptance than we thought, or maybe they think. That still remains to be seen, because we still have extra meetings and more detail to go through. But I do hope that the citizens who heard that and who were here for it and listened will consider those points. And if they have concerns, come to a meeting and talk about what those concerns are. But I really do think that the visuals were excellent in explaining what some of the challenges might be or not be going forward. So that's really all I have tonight to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Zinner. Good evening, Councilmember Robertson.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, fellow council members, city staff, ladies and gentlemen here and at home. A couple things. First of all, when you say water ice, I can tell that you're from Pennsylvania or New Jersey. So, yeah, I too got to experience the Winter Celtic Festival all weekend long. My family and I had a great time. The music was great, really awesome. Food was excellent. Did drop a couple bucks at some of the vendors because not everybody carries Robertson tartan, so here we are. So congratulations to everybody involved with that. I thought it was well laid out. I was really impressed. I too want to share my condolences for Mr. Green's passing. He's one of the first folks that Tracy and I met when we moved into town, because we live in the downtown and he walks it constantly picking up trash. And we got to chatting and we kind of hit it off because we're both UB alums. And, you know, he just loved watching my son grow. And, you know, he would go around picking up trash, and every time he found a ball, he would come home, clean it up. And, you know, he would wait until he got like a shopping bag full and then just stop by and leave him on my porch for my son Colt. And, you know, he was really just such a pleasant person to be around and to chat with. A lot of times when he was over at the VA for a medical appointment, he would stop by my office and just chat it up until the point where he would miss his bus, and then I'd end up giving him a ride home. But, you know, just a sweet, genuine person, and he will be missed. Mr. Mayor, that's it.
Thank you very much, Councilman Robertson. Good evening, Councilmember Shenanigans.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Administration, citizens at home, and citizens in the audience. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Thank you for being brave enough to come to the podium and give your insights into how you see our city should be operating. We need citizen comments, and we take to heart what you say. If you don't hear feedback immediately, we still listen. We write it down, and we take it to heart and when we consider making our votes. I want to welcome Market Street Brewery to the community. I look forward to your grand opening. I think it's wonderful that you're here and that you're concerned and interested in making sure that you're a great fit for our community. I also want to welcome Ultimate Drink Cafe. They will do a great job. It's nice that there's alternative beverages available for families. And I think it's great that, you know, they were able to have the ribbon cutting on Martin Luther King's Day. The Marina Commission would like to extend to the city and to DPW a great thank you for the beautiful lights that were along the water and the promenade and in the downtown area. It was very welcoming and very calming and very beautiful to them. So they wanted to say thank you. Yes, Celtic Festival. It was a great time to see our city evolve as an event. And to be able to use our new facility, the Star Center. If you weren't able to make it out, there will be photos posted online so you could see some of the events. And I hope that this will continue into its 4th year, as it is a great way to make a connection to our heritages and our city that we twin with, the Welsh community of Mumbles. We had visitors here, and it was great that they were bringing their heritage as a part of our twinning association and connecting to our Celtic Festival. I want to reach out to Bob Green's family and say thank you so much for having such a wonderful person in your family and being able to get to know him throughout the years and see him take care of our streets with a kind heart. I just want to give my condolences out to you and know that he has blessed our city, as I'm sure he has blessed your families throughout the year. I want to say to Bob Green, thank you for being a great member of the Cat Club, and may your legacy live on as we keep the streets of Havre de Grace clean. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you
and
very
happy
much.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenanigans. And Councilmember Martin, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council, citizens in the audience and at home, and all the administrative staff. The first request I'm going to make tonight is to the mayor and council from the Water and Sewer Commission. We have a report due in February, and we are asking for an extension because we could not get all the updates on our projects and our finance. So we would like to have it pushed for 1 month to February if that is possible.
Yep.
Thank you. On Friday, MML President Denise Mitchell will be visiting the city. One of the things that we are going to be doing is meeting with Adam to go over our request. So thank you for the resolutions, but we're going to be reviewing those and things that the city wants to do. So we're going to be meeting with her and going through that, as well as having her tour our city to see what our city is all about. If any of the council would like to join me, it'll start at 11 o'clock here at City Hall. Denise Mitchell, she's the president of the Maryland Municipal League. And she's coming in with also one of her staff members. I believe you're more than welcome to join us. I know you have a history with Denise, so she is a fantastic woman, and it's nice to be able to have someone from Prince George's County want to take the time and see what Havre de Grace is about. So I am happy to have her and host her here in the city. I want to thank the PD for their support for the Celtic event. I would suggest there are some tartans that can be made for the Havre de Grace PD if we'd like to have kilts for the PD. But no, on a positive note, the team working the weekend, the shifts working the weekend were fantastic. They came in, they interacted both with the vendors, with the attendees as well, and it was nice to see. And the people were excited to see how friendly our PD was. So that, again, thank you to your officers and all their positive attitude that they presented to all our visitors. When we talk about volunteers, I know that, and I'm going to hit a volunteer who asked for volunteers. I want to thank Taryn Martin. She was one of the volunteers that came in. We talk about everybody looking for volunteers and working with volunteers. People up here volunteer. There is the person who's co-chair of the 4th of July Commission and came in and worked several hours for us as a volunteer. We needed, and we got 182 volunteers for this event. So we know the city is capable of bringing in volunteers. So if you volunteer to work with us, don't forget to volunteer to work with the 4th of July. I'm just going to do a quick on the Celtic event. We are going to do an actual event review with everyone here. So I'm waiting for that meeting to be called. So when that happens, we're going to do that. But just a quick overview. We had 8 bands played Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had 3 dance teams come in, as well as, like I said, we did participate with twinning. So Mumbles was well represented. The twinning community was there. And we also had 3 drum and pipe bands. So if you didn't come out, last thing, we did have a sanctioned Highland event. We talked about last year when it was 4 inches of snow on the ground, 9 degrees. We had 16 athletes show up to do the caber toss, to do the hammer throw and all that. This year, we had 32 participants. So the word is getting out because it's a sanctioned event and we're the only one crazy enough to do something outdoors in January. We're getting more and more recognition and people wanting to come out. As I said, I want to thank everyone that helped, and we are going to do a presentation after the action event review to the city on everything that happened at the event, both positive and negative. With that, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Martin. And finally, this is from the council president.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I too would like to recognize the passing of Mr. Green. As John Donne wrote in his poem, "Ask not for whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee." Havre de Grace is certainly diminished in losing such a great man, and he contributed so much to the city, and he will be sorely missed. I do have a reminder that on the 23rd, we will have a council work session right here. It will not be televised, and it will not be open for public comment, but the public will be invited to attend as well. And that's to go over a previous ordinance that we discussed on the fee schedule. Last week, I talked about how the JV girls basketball team had won their first game. Well, they're 5 in a row now, as of tonight, by beating Perryville 38-18. So I want to congratulate them. And last but not least, we have a tradition here, Mr. Mayor, that when council meetings fall on your birthday, we all sing happy birthday to you. Am I right?
You are right.
Where did this tradition come from?
We made it up today.
Jimmy's Pop.
So if everybody please join me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Mr. Mayor. Happy Happy birthday to you. Thank you very much. We're proud, Grace on top. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, thanks, Council President. I was telling Mrs. Martin while I was getting ready to come down here after dinner this evening, I said, not that I'm going to be mayor much longer, but the point is, it'll never fall on my birthday again for at least another 11 years. I won't be around that much longer. I'm just saying, like, so I was looking on, on like Google Calendar. I'm sitting there counting. Okay, leap year. Yeah, okay, misses the Tuesday meeting after Martin Luther King. So I'm good. It's my last birthday council meeting. So I appreciate the happy birthday and well wishes, everybody. Like I said, it's very kind of everybody to think of me. So ready to wrap it up?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's a very good council meeting this evening. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
We got Council President. We got Councilmember Martin. As a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against adjourning say nay. Motion to adjourn carries 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is now 8:51 p.m. Thank you very much. Have a Grace. Be safe, and we'll see you in February. Thank you.